Hola. Glück auf. Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my talk, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here, and we got a really nice expression of your wonderful city already. So let me talk about the so-called Ruhr Museum in Essen, Germany, which is heavily connected with Sonrası. So, why are we meeting at the Black Sea? So, it's not about giving talks here in Sonrası. It's also about exchanging ideas, and for sure, it's because of a material which is natural, which is black, which is called coal. So, coal is really important for the Ruhr area too, and because of that, the very first specimen what you attend at our museum is a huge block of coal, which is 1.6 square meters and has a weight of about 7 tons. So it's heavy. But it's not about heavy coal, it's about also heavy work. A lot of people came to the Ruhr area and digging out the coal. For example, these 3 gentlemen, one comes from Sonrası, the another from Poland, and the third one is from Germany. But it's not only about men, it's for sure also about women, hard-working women with the families living still in the Ruhr area, and they're an important part of our society. So the entire natural and cultural history of the Ruhr area is closely linked to its natural raw materials, like hard coal, but also bog iron, and last but not least, glacial lost soils. So we're talking basically about geology, mineralogy, and paleontology, and talking about the today conditions. It's about industrial nature and industrial culture. So let me tell you a little bit about this so-called Ruhr metropolis. It's a regional association, and it's situated in the western part of Germany. So it's called a city of 53 cities. And those cities are quite big in the size of Sonrası, for example. A few cities are over 200,000 inhabitants, and also there are smaller cities. Essen is situated right there, so that's the journey we take now. So, but this metropolis has about 5 million people. So this is the 4th largest conurbation in Europe. It's a post-mining area, almost, and because of that, there is an ongoing structural transformation of this coal and steel region. The landmark of the Ruhr metropolis is the Zollverein coal mine and industrial complex in Essen. Basically, it's the big landmark, what we see here, in form of this coal mine at Essen. But the very landmark of this region is the winding tower of Shaft 12. So this is something like iconic. It's in the German broadcast more visible than the so-called Kölner Dom, which is a pretty big building in Germany. Yeah, the Ruhr Museum itself was founded in 1904 as the so-called Ruhr Landmuseum. So we moved to the old coal mine Zollverein, and the museum was opened in 2010 at the World Heritage Site. It's situated in the former coal washing plant at Shaft 12, so it's this pretty building, and it's something like, it has still the atmosphere of this industrial building, also inside. This Ruhr Museum is a museum about nature, culture, and the history of the Ruhr area. It's a multidisciplinary museum with an integrative concept. So that means the Ruhr Museum does not define itself as a classic industrial museum. It's the memory and the showcase of the Ruhr metropolis. So I know we are pretty close to lunch, and you're probably quite hungry, so I will serve you some eye candies of this museum and all the outposts we have. So this is about this. This is what you see first at the museum at the so-called 24 levels. You're starting with the exhibition at the highest point of this building. The permanent exhibition is divided in three parts: the present at the 17-meter level, the memory at the 12-meter level, and the history at the 6-meter level. So at the 17-meter level, you find out a lot of the present time of the Ruhr area. A lot of photographs, but also specimens. For sure, there are photographs, there are some trophies. And as you probably know, people in Germany, especially at the Ruhr area, are crazy about soccer. I know the same is the case here in Sonrası. So good luck for the third league. You have to go up pretty soon. But for sure, the Ruhr Museum is also about nature and these beautiful specimens behind glass. These are plants. They were harvested from this museum area. Then we have the so-called Signs of Times. This is a special exhibition about 80 specimens telling its own stories. For example, you probably see on the far left a specimen. This is one left from one of the coal miners. This is a human lung filled with the dust of coal. This is the very beginning, and it reminds you what a hard work was done in this area. But we are also talking about the memory, and this is for sure nature too. We diving in the deep time of this area, and sometimes we even cleaning up our ammonites, which are pretty big. So we having for sure the fauna, the Pleistocene fauna, like mammoths were found at the Ruhr area. We have a lot of artifacts, so the archaeological fraction is pretty big at our museum. And for sure we have other culture that came into this area, like the Roman Empire. And for sure we're telling the stories in the younger history of the so-called Ruhr area. But if we go down to the 6-meter level, so we are confronted with the history of this Ruhr area and all things about history, culture, and nature's coming together. When I visited this exhibition for my first time, my mind was exploding because it was so good, and I'm so happy to work for this great museum. So you are invited to visit our museum as well. Yeah. We have a prologue, and I take a certain pressure on geology. So we're starting with geology, deep times, and for sure tectonics, and also the pre-industrial society. The Ruhr area was an agriculture region. So, and that was based on glacial loess soils. We have a lot of specimens coming from this time. By the way, we have about 20,000 specimens that are displayed at this museum. So then the industrialization began a little bit earlier. I learned yesterday than here in Sonrası. So, and this industrialization was for sure based on raw materials like bog iron and hard coal. One person is really closely connected, probably the most people of you knowing this name, it's Alfred Krupp. He was an industrial pioneer, and he started something like, with his colleagues, an industrial revolution in Germany. So it's a lot of industrialization that comes to attention to the visitors, and for sure we're talking also about politics and business at the Ruhr area. and ways of life. It's not only walking, it's also living at the Ruhr area, our exhibition. And for sure, as we know, all the gold mines are now closed. So we're talking also about structural transformation at the Ruhr area and environmental pollution and occupational disease, which is also really often happened at the Ruhr area. We also have space for special exhibitions, about 1,000 square meters. So this is like a cathedral you attend when you're attending our special exhibitions. And right at the moment, we have a special exhibition about a lady. Her name is Marga Kingler. She is a press photographer, and she made a press history of the last 60 years of the Ruhr area. So you have a lot of photographs. By the way, we have a big collection in photographs from this area. So now we are taking about another place for special exhibition. That's the former mixing plant, where the coal was mixing together to one quality. So you find it over there. You see the arrow there, over there. It's a big building at the so-called cokery complex of this Zeche Zollverein. And this is a really special place, overwhelming what you can do at this building in exhibition style. So you having such rooms like that, this is kind of art, but it's culture, and for sure it's the history of this building and the whole area. So the photos could be displayed in this beautiful building. And we also have outposts. So I just mentioned 3 of them. The first one is, you have already seen it on the photo, it's an open-air museum of the machine pole which was used in the coal mines, like this. Then we have, in 2021, opened the Central Storage and Facility and Schau Depot. This is a former salt fabric or facility, and there it's like when you attend it, I call it like a department stores of unsaleable things. So it's like, yeah, you're coming into a warehouse. So some expressions of this beautiful building, we're having there about 20,000 specimens stored. So it looks like this. Like, for sure, geology. I'm a geologist, so I have to show you a lot of geological pictures. So, but also we have other things like glass or rocks, especially the ones you can see on the top roof. They are really emotional for me. Those are rocks where the city was rebuilt after the Second World War. So we have plenty of furnitures over there, and for sure, weapons back in time. For sure, the mining industry has also its own space, and also things you use every day. So it's like you attending a special museum warehouse style. So it's a lot of fun to do some leading tours in this facility. So the third outpost I would like to show you is the so-called Mineralien Museum. This one is situated in the southern part of Essen. It's an old school building, so really old stylish. And what you can expect in a mineral museum, for sure, minerals and rocks. But when I attended Essen for the very first time, I was really happy to see a special room which is on the sound of rocks and minerals. And I'm a music-loving geologist, and for me it was something like heaven. So we made something like a certain outreach project, so a museum outside the box. First of all, we recorded the sound of those minerals and rocks, and then handed it over to techno musicians. So if you want, it was something like, we also recorded the sound from below, from about 1,000 meters at Zeche Zollverein. And so it's something like rock music, but in fact, it's techno. So we call this project stone techno. So it's danceable techno music, and we turn this whole conception in concerts. For example, at the Schaudepot. It's beautiful. Have a look on YouTube, you'll find a 5 hours techno concert at our museum. But also, the next step was to establish a whole festival, and it happens since 2022. So it's a cooperation with the German broadcasting Arte concert. So it's a worldwide spreading of this whole conception, but also the industrial complex of Essen and the whole city of Essen. People coming from all over the world. This year we are having an attendance of 15,000 people coming from South Africa, from North America, hopefully from Turkey too, and also from all over the world. Morocco, you can count it. By the way, 60% of the people attending these festivals coming outside from Germany. So it's an economic impact. For us, as the Ruhr Museum, it's an outreach project. So we want to find young people, and we want to interest them in geology and in the culture. So this is the first step to come back to the industrialization, rocks and minerals. Those people doesn't know a lot about rocks and mining. So this, you are able to come in contact and talking to them. So it's science communication. So, and because it works, also our Lord Mayor of the city of Essen attended the festival, and as you can see, he is behind 2 DJs. He liked it a lot. So the next festival is pretty close in time, so it happens at the 12th to the 14th of July this year. So you're invited if you like. I thank for your attention, and again, thank you a lot for the invitation in this beautiful building. Thank you a lot.